So, just before we get started, first of all, thank you, Chad, for volunteering to come on and talk to us a little bit about YouTube. And I would love to hear. Now, I don't know. I'm sure you, like so many, get so many people kind of coming at you and asking you questions and touching base with you. You've been at this game a long time, just like I have. But I swear, I can remember you were the first guy who had any like marketing association with Dan Kennedy. And I remember listening to podcasts from Joe Polish and all those direct response guys. And I was like, who is Chad Madden? Like, he's totally saying and speaking the language of direct response marketing. And I could see that through your stuff. I would love to hear if you have a couple minutes, just tell me a little bit about kind of your background. Obviously, you're a PT, you're a practice owner, you have a successful business. But how'd you get into the direct response side of things?
So, like you, Anthony, you're in Ohio, right?
Yeah, I'm in Ohio.
So Pennsylvania, very similar structure. When I opened up in private practice, 2003, we were 100% physician referrals. I met with two doctors who I had worked for in the past, literally in a pop's practice, that were now independent, and they said, "Go out on your own, open up, you'll be fine. We'll refer you patients." 6 months later, one of those guys leaves, moves to Arizona, and I was like, "Ah, man." So at that time, we didn't even have direct access in the state yet, and but we were very much that linear referral model, and so we got to a point where we had to figure out physician marketing. I didn't. I was horrible at it. I had no idea what to do when I would walk into the doctor's office, or they would come in after an hour and a half of me waiting, but I got good at it just by studying marketing. We were very wide. We had 200 referral sources. And then because of the competition in Central PA, the pressure, and good things come out of pressure, and usually, a loss or like a defeat.
Yeah.
But the hospitals, three competing hospitals in the area, started buying up PCPs and family docs. And like our referrals were decimated. And I know the national average in PT in motion was like, in that study from the Journal of General Internal Medicine, 2003 to 2014, was like a 54% decrease in physician referrals.
Wow. Yeah.
We were like 90%.
Uh-huh.
So, and I was like, wow, so I ended up losing a lot of money. We had just expanded our practice, opened a second office. And at one point in 2009, I lost $98,000 in a quarter. So that's income minus expense. That's devastating, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I really need to figure this out. If I don't do this, I'm probably going to lose my business, probably going to lose my wife and our young family because it was causing stress at home.
Right.
And a friend invited me to, you had mentioned a few direct response marketing names. A friend here locally, who I was in a morning prayer group with, said, "Hey, by the way, I have a ticket to Jeffrey Gittimer is coming to the Hilton here in Harrisburg. I have a free ticket. Why don't you come along?" And I was like, not into investing in myself. And he said, "Man, you need this. You really should go."
Uh-huh.
Jeffrey Gittimer talked for four hours. And I remember he had two packages. One was, he called it the cheap bastard package. It was $75
Yeah.
of his books and tapes or CDs, DVDs at the time. And then he had this $500 package. And I bought the $500 package. And it was the first time in a year or two that I invested in myself. And when I went home, I consumed all 7 books. He probably had 30 hours of content in there on marketing. And I did it all. And then that's when I started. Every Friday, I would block out an hour of time to create YouTube content.
Uh-huh.
So that was 2010, 2011. And then,
okay,
after that, you just swim upstream. But
right.
Long-winded answer to the background, but now you have it.
No, that was great. And so then as you were getting into YouTube, I mean, at that time, I was just looking through my YouTube history, and I think that's right around when I created the YouTube channel for my business. And if you look at our stats from I think it was April 2009, literally to this year, it was 0. You know, there was no subscribers, nothing. I put up my first video, I think in 2013, even though I had the channel in 2009. And like one subscriber was probably me, and then a second, my mom, you know, and then like, so in this year now, and literally 2019, I was like, you know what? I've got to take this seriously. Like, I'm ready to take the next step. I'm ready to move in this direction. Technology has come so far. Cameras, audio, everything has gotten so good, so cheap, and so easy. There's no excuse for us not to do it collectively. And as much as we all bellyache about the public doesn't know who we are and what we do, and they think physical therapy is hot packs or, you know, traumatic brain injuries, like, it's our responsibility to take that action and do it. So we know Gary V started with Wine Library, wanted to sell wine online. Like, what was your thought process behind, hey, I'm going to get on YouTube and start putting out content?
So in the beginning, it was, what are questions that patients are asking me? And then just get on and answer that. And I would make it for like one person. So if I was working with you, Anthony, and you asked me a question, literally I would carry a little yellow sheet of paper, like standard legal pad, on Monday. And then I would carry that around in my pocket, pretty old school stuff, right? And if a patient would ask me a question, I would write it down. I would answer that for them. And then what I would do is on Friday, I had a 1 hour block of time, and I would just hit, they were the old flip cameras.
Yeah.
That had like the USB drive, and you could only do one thing, which was hit the red button, and that was it. And I had 4 of those. And like at home or wherever I was, like I always wanted to have one. And if somebody would ask me a question, even if it was like a relative or a friend, you know, asking me a question about PT, I would just answer it for them, and I would post it. And a couple of those ideas went viral. And I even I have my YouTube channel called up here. If you want me to screen share anything, we can walk through pretty much the history and analytics. It's pretty crazy if you want to see that.
Yeah, you know, whatever you'd like to share. I mean, I always try to share whatever I have, but I don't have anywhere near the following or the history that you do. So take it away. Like, feel free. Will, do you have your audio going?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's why I've been nodding and reacting. It's not because I'm it's not because I've like aced my Coursera how to read lips over Zoom call. I have been following along.
You were the best. You're the best lip reader in the world.
That's right.
my improv classes are paying off.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Chad, go ahead. If you wouldn't mind, I don't know if you have to ask permission to share, but there we go. Perfect. We've got it.
Yeah. So this is, and I'll give you the story behind a couple of these.
First, I'm sorry, but just, Will, do you see 3.8 million, 2 million, 1.1 million? Like, these numbers are just staggering. It's just incredible. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I want you to think about is applying the mechanism, applying the recipe to what you're doing.
Right. Just like we do in therapy, right?
Yeah, you do. So if somebody's watching this, doesn't matter who, if you don't have a YouTube channel, whatever it is, the idea isn't that you're looking at this from day one. Like, this isn't going to happen. You know, you create your channel this Friday, and then Monday there you have 15 million views or whatever it is. It just follow the principles more than anything else. So like what you're seeing here, these are not necessarily in chronological order, they're in view order, but popular uploads. Top 3 exercises for sciatica and pinched nerve was, I was working with a patient that had sciatica. They got to the end and they said, hey, by the way, this is great, but every time I'm coming in here, I'm doing like 20 exercises. I'm doing 20 exercises at home. What are the 3 that I should be doing for the rest of my life?
Uh-huh.
That was the question that they asked me. And this was my answer to that.
Nice.
So I recorded it for somebody personally. And then the other thing, I'm not sure how much you want to get into this, Anthony, but the other thing is the titles are key. So what most popular, what are the 3, what do you notice here? Top 3 exercises for, top 3 exercises for, top 3 exercises for, top 3 exercises. Like, very, very simple stuff there. You can see some of the things I've been playing around with here. I've been doing, I noticed you're doing like product
Right.
type stuff. So like I had a friend who he had upper back pain. He's in Colorado, and he said, "Hey, by the way, is there something that you can do? Show me." I bought a foam roller or brought one home from the clinic. I'll do a video for him, and I'll post it on the channel. Titles are key. They should be pretty basic. If you're not familiar, or if somebody who's watching this isn't familiar with how key titles are, look for other popular titles. Most of the time is PTs, though. We try to make it something. We try to use PT speak.
Sure.
In the title, so it's that's a pretty common error that I see a lot of.
Within your, like, when you're going through your thought process of titling, how much of that comes from all the stuff, your history with the direct response and Dan Kennedy and you know, because they're obviously big on headlines and the hook and grabbing their attention.
Yeah. So the therapists that I know that are do-it-yourself types that want to do a deep dive into marketing, in June of 2015, I was at a Dan Kennedy event in Cleveland. There's 200 people in the room. They're very low budget, high value type events. This isn't the big GKIC type event. This is, okay, you're in a small room with Dan. It's packed, and it's he said something like, it was right after the break that just kind of caught somebody said, "How do you become Dan Kennedy? Like, if I want to be the next Dan Kennedy, what do I do?" And he said, "There's a simple little exercise that I learned back in the 70s. I heard somebody say this, and he said, I can honestly say only 10 people in the US have done this. And this is what it is. Find the best copy ever." I have a book on my shelf. It's like 100 best copywriting or copy pieces from the last 100 years or something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And he said, get a sheet of notebook paper and write each one of those out by hand.
Yep.
And it reprograms your mind, like your subconscious brain, your autopilot brain, to speak like on a 5th grade reading level.
Right.
And it retrains you. And he said, most people aren't willing to put in that type of work. And he said, I did it back in 1971. And he said, I'm saying it in front of 200 people here. And my guess is likely nobody's going to do that.
Uh-huh.
I did it immediately. and it was life-changing. And I know in following your stuff, some of the other things that are really smart that you can get into are, like, when you're looking at your analytics, look for when people drop off, like your minute retention. Like, when are people dropping off? Typically there's a concept or a word in there on YouTube that you're using that doesn't translate well, that if you were talking to, like, my 10-year-old son, he wouldn't understand what you're trying to say.
Right.
So very important to do that. Not sure if I answered your question there, but
yeah, no, that was perfect.
Cool. Anything else you want me to go into here?
Will, did you have any ideas before we kept going?
I'm actually over here just typing up notes and I'll chime in once I got a couple questions, but overall I like where this is going, so I don't want to redirect it.
So what are you doing in terms of, you know, obviously the headline, we need that click-through rate up there. We need watch time, which is what you're touching on, where if you see a drop-off at some point within the video, you analyze that, what's triggering that drop-off, and then you change it for the next video. Mm-hmm. What else are you doing within the videos? Like, how are you doing in terms of your click-through rate and any of those stats you'd be willing to share?
Well, I can show you anything that you want to see in terms of analytics. Let me think about that.
And while you're doing that, how much value within the entire scope? You know, I think we as clinicians, we get tunnel vision and we're like, this is the one thing, this is what we're going to focus on. We forget about everything else. You know, Facebook marketing was huge. Nobody did anything else. Physician marketing before that, like all these, what percentage or how much time do you put into this as part of your overall clinical business? Now, I know you teach a bunch of clinicians some amazing marketing stuff, but in terms of your actual practice operation, like how big of a component is this to your marketing scheme?
So I give you a little bit of background here. Right now, we have 3 offices,
Okay.
51 employees. We
Wow.
have we do in the trailing 12 months we've done 4.5 million in revenue.
Okay.
So my only role I have 6 minority business partners within that company. I'm 67% owner, so I own 2/3 of the company. They own the other 1/3. I am actively involved 3 hours a week.
Okay.
In that business. The majority of my time is with Breakthrough, working with other owners.
Right.
So having said that, my only really remaining role is CMO, like Chief Marketing Officer.
Okay.
We have 3 marketers for the 3 offices that handle all the internal and external marketing, and I'm there 1 hour a week. We have I think like 1,500 training videos or something like that on marketing. So that's not PT. That's here's how to do direct response marketing, direct access marketing that they go through. They're part of all of our events and everything else. So that is my only remaining role. I'll give you an example. We launched a new workshop that is happening tomorrow night. We ended up with like 67 registrants for this workshop. It's our first knee pain workshop to the public.
Wow.
So they'll ask me to do a video, or I'll guide the therapist in doing the video. That'll say, hey, by the way, we had this knee pain workshop. We can only seat 30 people. We're way overbooked. So if you're in knee pain and you want to take advantage of learning the information, here's and I'll use a call to action there.
Right.
But that's about the extent of my involvement today. I'll do one-off videos. I'll do trainings for them. But my real role now, Anthony, is to train our other therapists, our 13 other therapists that we have to do what I'm doing. So I'm not just the face of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can't wear every hat forever. So
yeah, that's right.
So let me rephrase that question then. In terms of the business itself, absent of you, in terms of the business and the marketing strategy within that business, how much of a role does YouTube play in that? I know you're huge on workshops. I mean, to have 67 participants in a workshop is just crazy. I've never heard of that kind of number, but I'm just curious, specific to YouTube, how big of a role is it in the marketing strategy of the business?
YouTube is a great learning platform. But as you know, when you put stuff out there are a lot of ridiculous comments that come through there. And I give you the best and worst of what happens. The best that has happened is we have had people fly in from California, Montana, Lexington, Kentucky 3 times, Atlanta, Georgia, Canada, drive in from Philly, Pittsburgh, which is 4 hours away, New York City, Financial District, all to Harrisburg, which is they're not driving here for any other reason other than for PT. And thanks for laughing at that one, Will.
Yeah. That was good.
But you can have that sort of reach. You don't need that though. So what we find is that the information that we learn on YouTube with the world, by the way, I treated a guy from India, Calcutta, India. It's 8,000 miles from Harrisburg. He had there's major pockets. If you look at India, Asia, even in Europe, there are major pockets of affluence that have no access to care. But that's a whole telemedicine is beyond the scope of this conversation, I believe. But so we learn a lot via YouTube that we apply on a more local level.
Gotcha.
That's probably the greatest thing in terms of YouTube. There's not a huge effort there to put content out, although most of your viewers probably are using this as like a store-all for their video content rather than like a Wistia or another hosting platform.
Right.
So why there's a large reach, we really take that information and we learn how to take what is popular on a national level or even worldwide level, and then apply that content here locally with a Facebook or with other online traffic sources.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind sharing the graph of kind of just your subscriber growth rate or viewed minutes or anything like that for the channel overall?
Yep. The one, so like if you go lifetime, so the one positive thing is that it does actually, YouTube or Google really does send me a check every month, which is that's pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way that works is 70% of all revenue that Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So 70% of all ad revenue that is generated from your channel comes back to you. So that is like the best deal in the history of host. I mean, if you study any other model, nobody's sharing 70% back to the creator.
Right.
But that's a nice little perk. If we look at subscribers, here, let's go more recently.
And really, I mean, this is kind of what I've been seeing, where kind of it's dead and then slopes up and then kind of levels off.
Yeah. There's some more advanced stuff, and I'm probably the least technical person that you could talk with that's having at least mediocre success on YouTube.
Right.
But like we don't click. I don't ask for subscribers, or I don't do anything. I just and if there's a big golden nugget, it's if you're creating videos, focus on delivering value first, and almost everything else will take care of itself.
Right.
If you're giving a valuable 3 to 5 minutes, and it can be even longer, some long form video works really well in certain situations. But if you're focused on delivering value, people are going to appreciate that, and they'll figure out how to subscribe. They'll figure out how to hit the thumbs up button. They'll figure out how to leave a positive comment and share, and that will take care of itself.
Yeah.
I know that's the thing to do now with like CTA, calls to action and everything else. But yeah, was there something else you wanted me to click on in here, Anthony?
No, I think this is great. Will, while you're thinking about what you wanted to say, the other part that I wanted to ask about, and you can stop sharing your screen,
okay,
was like Will and I have had this conversation a bunch. I say, as clinicians, so I've been a licensed PT since 2006, January 2006, but I've been a practice owner since 2002. And I'm like, we've said these things over and over and over. We've got our spiels down. We know what patients are wanting to know, but we're stuck inside these four walls and privacy and all this stuff, and it never gets out to the public. And you're doing exactly what we all need to do, which is you get a question, a real question in real patient language, and you answer it. And you put it out on public forum. And it could be just you. It could even be just voice for those people who don't want to be on camera or don't have a good setup or whatever. Record it as a podcast, but just answer those real patient questions, which we do every day in the clinic. Document them, push them out there. And I think, the growth will come. And so I love what you've done. And it's simple. It's just you standing up there. You've probably said the same thing 1,000 times to different people. And I agree, like, we don't have to ask for subscribers. We don't have to do that stuff. People are on YouTube. They know how to subscribe. They know, don't waste those seconds. Those are valuable seconds that fill it with valuable content, and like you said, the rest happens. Will, what's on your mind?
Yeah, that made me think of when you talked about wasting valuable time asking to subscribe now and things like that. That would be like getting through an eval saying, all right, let's move to the gym, and saying, all right, before we move to the gym, if you wouldn't mind booking your next 3 or 4 appointments, that would be great. All right, cool. Now that we've done that, let's go to the gym, right? It really does kind of kill flow. Yeah. I think if we're trying to, communicate our professionalism through this medium. Like, it just seems really unprofessional, and I hadn't really ever thought about it until you had just made mention of it, Chad. And I know you've been talking about it, Tony, for a little bit, but I think that that's really interesting. Focus on the value delivery first, because I think you lose people the second. Because then the second I hear that, I'm like, oh, you're trying to build your channel.
Right.
You're not trying to help me.
Yeah.
And now it's you, not me. And even if that's not true, I think that's just enough static to where you can see that drop off, which I'm probably thinking about because you mentioned that, Chad, when you said, look for those drop offs in your video time and see if there's a correlation to the language. But that's what I was thinking about. And I think, Tony, you nailed the question that I was getting to.
Well, Chad, I know you only have a couple minutes left, and I want to respect your time. So what, just kind of in the wrap up, because you've shared a bunch of great information, just for you personally, like at this stage in the game, so you had the private practice, you've been through the challenges, you had that major loss in revenue, like we've all kind of had that origin story. Where are you going now that you're kind of the marketing person in charge, but either on a personal side or on the next business venture with Breakthrough? Like, just tell me where you are and where you're headed.
Yeah. So you had mentioned about responsibility for PTs. Right?
Yeah.
So like if we look at the numbers, and I'm getting ready, so November at PPS, I'm doing a State of Direct Access Marketing presentation, and our team is, we've hired additional team members to do research on this. But if you look at the history of direct access marketing and where we're at today in terms of numbers, yes, you and I hear all the time, if people would just understand what PT does, then we wouldn't have a marketing problem. Well, yeah, but chiropractors don't have that problem. Podiatrists, lots of others in conservative care don't have that problem. And if, like, you think through, I've asked 1,000 owners this question. If you were in a room full of people with back pain and you asked them where they would go for care, what would they respond?
Chiropractor.
Right.
Chiropractor, number 1.
Massage therapist.
4. Family doctor, ER.
Yep.
2 and 3. So I'm asking PTs. One time somebody said, I think it should be PT. Nobody ever said PT. So like, we're almost conceding, we're almost coming into it with a defeatist mindset. But yet, if we look at the research, those people are better served more effectively, more efficiently by seeing a physical therapist, right? You can go get a spinal fusion in Harrisburg, numbers $114,000, or you can do a plan of care, which is $1,200.
Yeah.
That, like, this one you could die from, have further complications adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, like craziness. Or this one, you're going to feel better, feel younger, and get back to normal. Right. So the passion is there in terms of what we're doing. I really think we have a huge gap, and I'm thankful now that more people are talking about direct response marketing and direct access marketing in the industry now. We need more people just like you talking about this and moving it forward. So really, in terms of like life passion or next step, I mean, it's exactly what we're doing here. And ultimately, I think we can get to the point going direct to the consumer. We have some pretty big initiatives here at Breakthrough, but getting to the point over the next few years where physical therapy is really the number one choice. And we're really, when somebody has musculoskeletal pain, they think, I need to call the physical therapist first. That's where we're headed. So we have, I've talked with Frank Kern and going to his workshops. We've been in Dan Kennedy's basement now twice talking about this. We're hiring the best of the best. We've been up to Cambridge now 8 quarters in a row in Massachusetts looking for advice there. We're hiring people across the board that have done this. And it's going to take a team of people. It's just not going to be 1 or 2 people hitting record. But if we had, let's say, 1,000 PTs across the country all hitting record and educating, providing value, we can start moving that needle a little bit and be more than 8% of the musculoskeletal market as we are today.
And is that a component of Breakthrough? Just before I let you get off, I just want you to tell us, because I know a lot of people still, and I don't know exactly what Breakthrough marketing is, but just can you tell us a little bit about that?
So we started with just providing information on direct access marketing. Early indicator is, at least from the latest research we've done, about 13% of the private practice owners have deliberately done any sort of direct access marketing efforts in the last 30 days. That is brutal. So we had Vision 2020, right? And then the APTA pivoted from that in 2013. But we have this Vision 2020. We now have direct access. Texas is coming along, Missouri lagging along a little bit, but some quasi-direct access in all 50 states. We have this huge benefit that we all wanted, and now we're not really utilizing that.
Right.
So at Breakthrough, our first goal is to help the 13% do direct access marketing better, and the 87% encourage them along to say, hey, here's one little thing you could do. Let's say go to your past patient list. Like, everybody watching this can record a simple YouTube video and email it out to their past patient list.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just start there. That's something that's very easy. You can do it today. At every single event that we host, we do a lab where literally owners record each other and then post it on Facebook and then send out an email campaign. And we've had people get over 200 responses from like a single owner, get 200 responses in the first 24 hours.
Wow.
With that. So it's knowing that we have a lot of power. We deserve respect in the marketplace for what we're doing in terms of changing lives and the value that we deliver within the community. And it's not feeling bad about it. And it's not feeling bad if I average 8.9 visits per plan of care and you average 8.4 and we're beating each other up that way. It's focused on delivering value. So long-winded answer, it's exactly what we're about at Breakthrough. You know, our mission there is we help people in pain get back to normal naturally. And we have very specific numbers about the amount of people that we want to help here within the US, Canada, and then also Australia. Right now.
That's awesome. And for people to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Go to breakthroughptmarketing.com, or the other thing that you can do is my email's chad@breakthroughptmarketing.com.
All right, Chad, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. It's always so helpful to see behind the curtain and kind of get a sense for what's really going on back there, because I think so many of us just have no idea what reality is, you know, and so you being there and doing that, I appreciate it. Will, anything before we wrap up?
No, we're on a time crunch, and Tony, I had a list of questions and you actually just kept like ticking them off one at a time. So as for the sake of brevity, you nailed it. I appreciate the time, Chad. That was really helpful.
Thank you,
right,
Anthony.
Chad, we'll let you go. Thanks so much.
Appreciate what you're doing. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.